Tools and cars, two of my passions. If they're your passions as well, this is your channel. Feedback I've gotten on some videos, one is a question and the other is a statement. One of the questions was, why so many tools? Why do you have so many tools? They seem all the same. Do you really need all those tools? And the second is a comment that they enjoyed learning about different tools and what they could be used for. I'll try to answer maybe both of those questions a little bit today. Your mileage may vary. For the car portion, we have the 2014 Turbo S, lovely car, and a 1985 930. We're going to focus more on the tools today, but show you the cars as well. So, why so many tools? This is my service cart box, and it has a lot of tools in it. It has a lot of sockets, it has a lot of socket wrenches, it has a lot of regular wrenches. Why so many? Well, over here we have nothing but 10mm tools and a lowly 10mm bolt, one of the most common sizes you might run into, and an assortment of wrenches and sockets and pliers that can address this very common bolt. Now, obviously, some of these are going to be fairly absurd and you wouldn't use them in most situations, but it will demonstrate the point. The reality is you do not need all these tools. If all I had was a cheap pair of Chinese pliers, I'd probably find a way to get the job done. But they kind of suck. They'll strip the bolt. It's going to be hard to get access in many situations. And in general, a tool like this, great for an emergency roadside repair, but in general, sucks. Don't need it. Stepping up from that, maybe if all you have is an adjustable wrench, you make do. Adjustable wrench will work. It will turn that bolt, assuming you can get your adjustable wrench in there. It might take a long time, turning a tiny bit at each time, and it's possible that it just isn't going to fit. So while a great tool when it's the only tool you have, really probably not the ideal tool for most situations. Get rid of that one. Companies like Knipex make these really fancy pliers, which are really cool and can bite onto a socket and hold it really well. And this is actually, I would say, the first step into a quality tool. And as long as you have a place to fit this wrench, that comes in a smaller size as well, you could probably make do with this. And you can use this on quite a few range of sizes. Stepping up from that, probably the most common tool for turning a bolt or a nut is a standard wrench. This is a ICON 10mm combination wrench, combination being box end on one side, open end on the other. And the box end is going to give you a better grip on the bolt. If it's torqued more tightly, less likely to slip or strip, and the open end is going to give you a little bit better access. You'll see some YouTube channels taking these things and putting 200 foot-pounds of torque on them and watching them snap. The reality is that if you're ever putting more than 100 foot-pounds on a combination wrench, you're probably doing something wrong. But it's nice to know your wrenches aren't going to snap. There's also lots of great brands out there. ICON is a good kind of middle-of-the-road brand. They're easy to warranty. They look good. They're nicely chromed, but not too bad. Okay, then you can step into socket wrenches. And a standard 3/8 inch socket wrench. This is a snap-on flex head with a 3/8 inch 10mm socket. You can see this is probably a great tool for addressing this sort of bolt, assuming, again, you have room. It's not super bulky, but it's not super compact either. 1/2 inch version of the same thing, obviously. In a 10mm, you're probably not going to be going to a 1/2 inch, but just to show you the size difference between a 3/8 and a 1/2, quite a bit. And the 1/2 inch is going to give you more torque, more leverage, and help you get that bolt out better, but at the penalty of access clearance. Maybe taking it to the absurd, 1/2 inch deep, 24, actually I think this is a 26 inch ratchet, which, assuming that bolt is really in there, this might be the tool you want and need. But I would say this definitely falls into the specialty tool category, something you're probably not going to use very often. More common would be maybe a 1/4-inch ratchet with a standard 1/4-inch socket. And this is really what I'd be grabbing for a 10 millimeter. Maybe up to a 14 millimeter bolt head, I would be using a 1/4-inch regularly. They're nice, they're compact, they're light, they're easy to handle. This is a Snap-on one, which is super high quality, but you can buy less expensive ones. You can buy Astro for $12. That's quite good. Or you can buy a Snap-on for $100. That's good. I really like the Kokens. I've talked about them before, but this is an example of the Koken Zeal, and you can see that they really try to make them very compact. It's a Zeal socket and a Zeal wrench. You can see even compared to the relatively small Snap-on 1/4-inch, it's pretty compact. They also grip the sockets really well, and they're just super, super nice tools to use, very pleasant. I've talked about them before. Big fan of Koken. Sometimes even that is not going to be small enough, and you can get into Astro makes specialty low-profile nano sockets. And again, the difference is use this if you have clearance. But when you have to get at a bolt, when it's difficult to get to, or you have limited access, or you can't turn it that much, or it's difficult to see, that's when you start to get into some specialty tools that will just make your life easier. These mountain wrenches are really popular. They have this little protrusion on them, which makes them great for reaching in and grabbing a socket in difficult to reach locations. And of course, they ratchet. Super nice. Very, very popular these days, these mountain style wrenches. This one is made by Platinum, or is branded Platinum, but Mountain, Platinum, Icon, they're all pretty much the same. These Astro Nanos I've talked about before. They're little sockets that pop into their own little 11 millimeter, in this case, wrench. Work really good. And again, even compared to that tiny little Koken, lower clearance. Astro also makes it, this is the 3/8 inch Astro series. They make the same thing in a 1/4-inch series and a 1/2 inch. They don't go down to 10 millimeter and half. And you go down to a 1/4-inch Astro, even thinner. Now you're starting to get to a tool that is even notably lower clearance. Sometimes even that won't be low enough clearance. Sometimes you'll need an offset wrench to get into a particular location. These are not really all that common anymore. I still like them. Sometimes you have to get around a fuel line or a brake line or some sort of hydraulic line, and you need, you don't want to strip it with an open end wrench. You can put an open end on there. We'll get around a fitting, but you don't want to strip it, so you use what's called a flare nut wrench, which will grab it on more sides and help prevent stripping, get more torque on it. These Astro ratcheting wrenches we've talked about, super thin. Look at that, even compared to the Koken. You're getting that into certain places that you're just not going to get a ratchet, and you still get ratcheting action. Could you get it done with one of these, just a regular open-end wrench? Yes, probably, but you might be there for a long time, turning it 1/8 of a turn at a time, whereas if you can get a ratcheting wrench in there, you can blast it out pretty quickly. So these are my old Snap-on double opens. These are 1956 wrenches. I still love them. Some of the best wrenches I own. But you can see even that compared to, super duper modern fancy stuff is even thinner. So if access is an issue, you can make do with this. Might take you a while. It's not going to ratchet. It might be cursing a little bit, but it will get the job done. Or even smaller, an ignition wrench. Sometimes you just want to get things done quickly, though, and I like using nut drivers. So if I have a bunch of things that I need to turn and I can get them, once I break them loose, I can use a nut driver. This is a Wera nut driver, 10 millimeter, hollow shaft, so they can go down on to bolts, and you can run a bolt down. And the shaft will, oops, sorry, wrong way. You can run a bolt down and the shaft will just go right into the driver itself and not bind up. Great tools. On the absurd end of the spectrum, Sometimes you want power tools, and Astro makes these flex impact sockets, which are really nice. If you're pulling out suspension bolts or a lot of bolts and you have the room to get a tool like this in there, put this on there, put it in reverse, even if there's a little bit of an angle, and you can run those things on and off super quickly. Taking it to an even more extreme level, again, probably not going to be using this in 10 millimeter, but every once in a while you might need it. So this is a 1/2 inch Milwaukee impact. This is an older generation. They have these now that will do huge amounts of torque. This one is about, I think, 300, 350 foot-pounds of torque. But again, you can run in bolts pretty quickly with something like this. Again, all 10 millimeter. So kind of in summary, you don't need all these tools. You can get by with just a standard wrench. Get yourself a nice set of combination wrenches, maybe a basic set of 3/8 inch sockets. It'll do 90% of what you need to do, 80%, 85% with, not too much frustration. But a lot of these specialty tools, if you're working on cars a lot, maybe will just make your life a little bit easier. I forgot about this one. It's another example. This is a little Koken nano ratchet. It's a Tone nano ratchet with a Koken Z series socket on it. Super low clearance, but it's also short and super stubby, and you can just kind of use it as is, as a stubby. Wrong bolt. Use it as is as a stubby, or you can put small little 1/4 inch breaker bar on there and have an obstruction wrench where you can get around. Let's say there's a clearance issue and you can get around something and ratchet it. So that's it. Tools, my passion. Cars, my passion. And if you learned something or you enjoyed something, or if I totally told you wrong information and you want to correct me, leave a note below. Other than that, hope you had a great 4th of July weekend, and I'll see you next time.